Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how powerful the mind can be when it's consumed by someone? I'm talking about that moment when a man simply cannot stop thinking about a woman. I'm Steve Harvey, and I want to tell you something remarkable happens to him, and not just in one way, but three major ways. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about a man who just can't stop thinking about a woman. Now, we're not talking about a little, she popped into my head moment here and there. I'm talking about the kind of thinking that invades his mind morning, noon, and night. You ever see a man acting different, acting strange, smiling at his phone like it just told him the secrets of the universe? That's him. That's the effect she's having on him. And here's the thing, it's not just a crush or a fling, it's something deeper. It's a sign that she has reached a place in his heart and mind that no one else has. When a man can't get a woman out of his head, it starts to show in everything he does. You notice it in the way he talks, the way he laughs, and even the way he carries himself. Suddenly, he's more attentive. Suddenly, he's listening more than he's talking. And the crazy part, sometimes he doesn't even know he's doing it. His mind keeps going back to her because there's something about her that has touched him, something about her that makes him feel alive in ways he never expected. He's thinking about her smile, the way she laughs, the way she challenges him, the way she makes him want to be a better man. And don't get it twisted, this thinking isn't lazy daydreaming. No, sir, this is the kind of thinking that changes a man. It forces him to pay attention to details he used to ignore. It makes him reflect on his actions, his words, and even the way he shows up in life. You know why? Because when you can't stop thinking about someone, you start wanting to be worthy of them. You start realizing that if she's occupying that much space in your mind, maybe you've got some growing up to do. Maybe it's time to step up your game. Maybe it's time to get serious about being the kind of man she deserves. And here's the funny thing, people around him might not even notice it at first. Friends might say, "Man, you acting different these days. You okay?" But the truth is, he's okay, more than okay, he's changing. He's beginning to understand that thinking about someone constantly isn't weakness. It's a sign that his heart is working overtime. It's learning to care, to prioritize, and to appreciate the kind of connection that makes life feel bigger than just himself. Now, I've got to be real with you. This isn't always easy. Thinking about someone this much can make a man vulnerable. It can make him second guess, worry, and wonder if he's doing enough. But vulnerability is part of the process. When a man can't stop thinking about a woman, it's teaching him something about love, patience, and commitment. It's showing him what it means to invest in another person with his thoughts, his heart, and eventually his actions. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you see a man who can't stop thinking about a woman, don't judge him. Don't call it obsession. Understand this, what's happening is genuine care. His mind, his heart, and his life are all being quietly, profoundly changed. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice something beautiful. He's becoming a better version of himself simply because she has touched his life in a way no one else has. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about something that happens when a man just can't stop thinking about a woman. I'm not talking about little crushes or passing thoughts that come and go. No, I'm talking about a man whose mind is completely occupied, whose thoughts are constantly circling back to her. And when that happens, you begin to notice changes, not big, dramatic ones at first, but little shifts in behavior that tell you something serious is going on inside him. You ever notice how a man starts acting different around people when a woman is on his mind? Suddenly, he's more attentive. He's paying attention to things he used to overlook. Maybe he's noticing the little details in his own life that he used to ignore, the way his house looks, how he talks to people, even the way he carries himself. And the reason is simple. When a man can't stop thinking about a woman, he's subconsciously preparing himself to show up in a way that reflects not just who he is, but the respect and admiration he has for her. And here's where it gets funny, because sometimes these changes are subtle. He might start texting more thoughtfully or calling when he never used to. He may start making an effort to look sharper, dress cleaner, or even take care of his health in ways he hadn't considered before. Friends notice and tease him about it, saying, "Man, what's gotten into you?" And he just smiles because he knows that these small actions are not just for show. They're his way of expressing how much she matters to him. It's his way of aligning his life with the thoughts that dominate his mind. You see, it's more than just appearances. A man's habits start to shift in ways that reveal how much he values her presence, even if she doesn't know it yet. He might start showing up on time more often, remembering small promises, paying attention to details he once brushed off. He begins to prioritize differently, choosing time for her over distractions he once considered important. And here's the kicker, he doesn't even feel forced to do it. It's natural, it's instinctive. His behavior changes because his thoughts are so consistently focused on her that his life starts to revolve around her influence, whether he realizes it or not. And I've got to be honest with you, it's not always easy to watch. Sometimes a man will overthink, second guess, or worry that he's not doing enough. That's the price of caring deeply. But those changes in behavior, those little adjustments, those subtle shifts are signs that he is growing, evolving, and learning what it truly means to value someone. The way he treats his friends, the way he approaches work, even the way he handles stress begins to reflect the care and attention he's given to her in his mind. Ladies and gentlemen, when a man can't stop thinking about a woman, it's not just his heart that changes. It's his life. It's in the way he moves, the way he talks, and the way he treats himself and the people around him. These behavioral changes are proof that love, or the deep care that comes before it, has a transformative power that no one can deny. It takes hold of a man quietly, persistently reshaping the way he lives and interacts with the world. And the most beautiful part is, he often doesn't even realize it's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about something that happens when a man just can't stop thinking about a woman. Now, we've already talked about how it can take over his mind and change the way he acts. But there's another side to this story, and it's the one that really gets to the heart of a man, his emotions. You see, when a man's thoughts are consumed by a woman, something powerful happens. He becomes emotionally vulnerable. And I don't mean weak, I mean open. Open in ways he may have never been before. Emotional vulnerability is a tricky thing for men because society doesn't always teach us to wear our hearts on our sleeves. But when he can't get her out of his head, he starts feeling deeper. The little things that used to roll off his back suddenly matter. A kind word from her can lift him up in ways nothing else can. A small misunderstanding or a disagreement can hit him harder than he ever expected. He's not just thinking about her, he's feeling her. Her moods, her happiness, her concerns, they all affect him, and he might not even realize how much. And here's the thing that makes this beautiful vulnerability allows growth. When a man becomes emotionally open, he begins to experience love in a more authentic, powerful way. He feels joy that surprises him, happiness that fills him, and hope that keeps him going. But he also learns patience because emotions are messy. He learns understanding because he starts to see her in ways he didn't before. And he learns humility because he realizes that caring this deeply means he cannot control everything. He cannot control her feelings, her reactions, or the outcomes. All he can control is how he shows up, how he responds, and how he allows himself to feel. It's funny because sometimes men try to hide this vulnerability. They put on a front, laugh it off, act like everything's fine. But the truth is, it's in the little things you notice. The way his eyes light up when he talks about her, the quiet smile he wears when she pops into his mind, the sudden distraction when his thoughts drift to her. These aren't signs of weakness. These are signs of a man who is alive, fully engaged with his emotions and learning to love in a way that is real and human. And let me tell you something else. Emotional vulnerability doesn't just affect the man, it affects everyone around him. His friends notice he's softer, more thoughtful. His family notices he's more patient. And if she's paying attention, she notices too. Vulnerability is contagious in a good way. When a man is open with his emotions, it gives permission to those around him to be open as well. It creates connection, trust, and a deeper understanding that is hard to come by in this world. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, Steve, isn't being vulnerable risky? Absolutely, it's risky. But love, caring, and deep connection are always a risk. And when a man can't stop thinking about a woman, that risk becomes worth it. Because he learns that opening his heart, showing his true feelings, and embracing his emotional side is the only way to truly connect. It's the only way to love fully and honestly, and it's the only way to grow as a man who is capable of more than just surface-level relationships. So, ladies and gentlemen, when a man is thinking about a woman so much that he can't get her out of his mind, remember this, he's not just thinking, he's feeling. And in feeling, he's learning, evolving, and becoming a man who understands that vulnerability is not weakness, but the truest expression of love. It's messy, it's raw, and it's beautiful. And it changes him from the inside out in ways that nothing else ever could. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something incredible that happens when a man just can't stop thinking about a woman. Now, we've already talked about how it changes his mind and even makes him emotionally vulnerable. But there's another thing that happens, and this one is powerful. It affects the way he moves through life. When a man's thoughts are constantly consumed by a woman, his motivation shifts. And I'm not talking about small, temporary bursts of energy. I'm talking about a deep, driving force that begins to shape his choices, his goals, and even the way he sees himself. You see, when a man can't get her out of his mind, he suddenly starts asking himself questions he's never asked before. Am I doing enough? Am I being the kind of man she deserves? Am I living up to my potential? And that's the thing. It's not about pressure from anyone else. It's internal. The thought of her stirs something inside him that says, I can be better. I can do more. I can reach higher. And ladies and gentlemen, that is motivation like no other. It's not a motivational poster or pep talk. It's real, personal, and coming straight from the heart. And here's what's fascinating. This motivation doesn't stay in one area of his life. No, sir. Suddenly his work matters more. His health matters more. Even the way he treats his family and friends starts to shift. He wants to show up better in every area because he knows that the man she deserves is a man who doesn't settle for mediocrity. It's a ripple effect. Her presence in his mind becomes the catalyst for transformation. He starts chasing goals he's been putting off, investing in himself, learning new skills, and improving habits that once seemed optional. Because thinking about her makes him realize that life is too short to stand still. And let me tell you, it's not always easy. A man might struggle, face setbacks, or even feel discouraged. But here's the beautiful part. Thoughts of her keep pulling him forward. They give him a reason to push past laziness, fear, and self-doubt. The desire to be worthy of her attention, to make her proud, to be the kind of man she can rely on. It becomes a driving force that fuels persistence, creativity, and resilience. When a man can't stop thinking about a woman, her presence in his mind is like a compass pointing him toward his best self. Now, it's also funny to watch sometimes because motivation shows up in the little things too. He might start planning more carefully, dressing sharper, or taking more pride in how he presents himself. He becomes more thoughtful with his words, more deliberate with his actions, and even more intentional in how he spends his time. And while his friends might tease him about it, he knows exactly why he's doing it. Everything he does is colored by her influence, even if she doesn't know it yet. And this is why I say the motivation shift is one of the most powerful things that happens when a man can't stop thinking about a woman. It's not just mental or emotional, it's practical. It shapes the way he lives. It drives him to grow, to improve, and to become a man capable of offering something real, lasting, and meaningful. He learns that true inspiration often comes from love, admiration, and the desire to be the best version of himself, not just for himself, but for the woman who has taken root in his mind and heart. Ladies and gentlemen, when you see a man whose mind is constantly on a woman, remember this, he's not lost in thought, he's found in purpose. His motivation has shifted, his ambitions are alive, and his actions are slowly but surely aligning with the man he's meant to be. And all of this comes from one thing, a woman who captured his heart and made him realize that he is capable of so much more than he ever thought possible. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's get into something fascinating that happens when a man just can't stop thinking about a woman. I'm talking about the kind of thinking that sneaks into every corner of his day, the kind that makes him smile for no reason, the kind that makes him check his phone 3 times in 10 minutes. And here's the part that's really interesting. This kind of thinking creates a powerful urge to communicate. I mean, you ever notice how a man suddenly becomes a little more talkative, a little more intentional, and a little more persistent when he can't get a woman off his mind? That's not by accident. That's chemistry, emotion, and genuine care all rolled into one. When a man constantly thinks about a woman, he develops this almost uncontrollable desire to reach out to her. He wants to hear her voice, know her thoughts, understand her moods, and make her feel seen. Even when he knows he shouldn't text too much, call too often, or appear too eager, something inside keeps nudging him. It's that little voice that says, I just want to check on her. I just want to see if she's okay. I just want to be part of her day. And this urge to communicate isn't superficial. It comes from a deep place of caring and connection. And it shows up in the details. A man might send a simple message, asking how her day went, but behind that simple question is 100 thoughts. He remembers something she mentioned last week, something small, something seemingly insignificant, and he brings it up because he wants her to know he listens. He wants her to feel valued. He wants her to know that even when she's not physically present, she is alive in his mind and heart. And this is where the beauty lies. Communication becomes more than words. It becomes a bridge, a way to connect even when they're apart, a way to show her she matters more than anything else in that moment. Sometimes it can be funny. A man might overthink a text, erase it, rewrite it, delete it, and then send something else entirely. Or he might hang up, call again, and laugh nervously because he doesn't know what to say. That's the human side of love, ladies and gentlemen. That's proof that when a woman occupies a man's thoughts, she doesn't just occupy space. She takes over his energy, his focus, and even his sense of timing. Every action, every word, every attempt to communicate becomes a reflection of how much she means to him. And it's not just about expressing himself, it's about understanding her. When a man can't stop thinking about a woman, he starts to notice patterns, moods, preferences, and little quirks. He listens more. He pays attention to the pauses in conversation. He remembers the things she loves, the things that frustrate her, the way she reacts when life throws challenges her way. Communication becomes an act of care. Every text, every call, every conversation is infused with intention because he wants to be present, to be relevant, and to make a difference in her life, even in the smallest ways. And let's be honest, this urge to communicate is powerful. It can drive a man to be creative, thoughtful, and patient. It teaches him how to articulate his feelings, how to express himself without fear, and how to build trust through consistency and attention. When a man's thoughts are filled with a woman, he learns the value of being seen and heard because he wants her to experience that same feeling. He learns that communication is not just about talking, it's about connection, understanding, and showing love in real, tangible ways. Ladies and gentlemen, when a man can't stop thinking about a woman, remember this: it's not just his mind that's working overtime, it's his heart, his intention, and his actions. That constant urge to communicate is proof that he cares deeply, that he values connection, and that he is willing to put effort into showing up for someone who has become the center of his thoughts. And the beauty of it is, in the process of reaching out, of listening, and of expressing, he becomes a better man, not just for her, but for himself and for the world around him. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about something incredible that happens when a man just can't stop thinking about a woman. We've gone through how his mind changes, how his emotions open up, how his motivation shifts, and how he develops this unstoppable urge to communicate. But there's one final thing I want to tell you about, and it's a game changer. When a man constantly has a woman on his mind, he begins to prioritize not just her, but everything in his life in a way that reflects how much she matters to him. Prioritization is powerful because it shows where a man's heart truly lies. When he can't stop thinking about a woman, he starts to rearrange his life, consciously or unconsciously. Suddenly his time, his attention, and even his energy are no longer spent recklessly or on things that don't matter. He begins to focus on what counts, the things that bring value, joy, and meaning to both his life and hers. And here's the thing, prioritization doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual. But when you start paying attention, you notice it everywhere. Maybe it's the way he manages his schedule. He might say no to distractions, skip unnecessary outings, or cancel plans that don't serve his purpose because he wants to make room for the moments that matter. Maybe it's the way he handles work. He works harder, smarter, not just for himself, but so he can provide, protect, and support. He begins to understand that love isn't just about words, it's about action. It's about showing up consistently, making her feel valued, and making her happiness a priority without losing himself in the process. And here's the funny part, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes this prioritization looks downright silly to outsiders. A man might go out of his way to do small, thoughtful things that seem trivial, but to him they're enormous. Picking up her favorite snack on the way home, remembering a detail she mentioned months ago, or being there when she needs someone to listen. These little things become non-negotiable because when a woman occupies a man's mind, his life begins to revolve around showing her that she matters, that he matters, that their connection matters. And it's not just about doing things for her. It's also about choices he makes for himself. He starts letting go of toxic habits, cutting off negative influences, and focusing on growth. He realizes that if he wants to be someone worthy of her, he must be intentional in everything he does. He starts prioritizing his health, his mindset, his finances, his ambitions, all because he knows that the best version of himself is the one who can truly contribute to a meaningful relationship. And here's the kicker. This kind of prioritization doesn't feel like a burden. It feels natural, it feels necessary, and it feels powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, this prioritization extends beyond the woman herself. It changes how a man approaches life. He starts valuing time more, respecting relationships more, and appreciating opportunities he once overlooked. He learns to invest in things that matter, both big and small. And through this process, he becomes not only a better partner, but a better human being. His priorities are no longer scattered, they're aligned. And alignment, my friends, is the secret ingredient to success, love, and fulfillment. And let's be honest, it's beautiful to watch. When a man can't stop thinking about a woman, you see it in the way he handles challenges, in the way he listens, and in the way he shows up consistently. He's no longer living life by default. He's living intentionally. Every decision, every action, every thought begins to reflect the influence of the woman he cares about. And in that process, he's learning something profound. True love is not just feeling, it's action. It's choice, it's prioritization. So, ladies and gentlemen, when a man can't stop thinking about a woman, know this, it's not just about infatuation, it's about transformation. His mind, his heart, his actions, and his priorities all shift to reflect the depth of his feelings. He becomes intentional, thoughtful, and committed. He learns what it means to value what truly matters in life. And in that prioritization, he not only honors her, but he discovers the best version of himself, capable of love, growth, and greatness in ways he never imagined possible.